Ever since I was a kid, I've been fascinated by physics. I would spend hours playing with dominoes and bouncy balls and just watching how things interacted with each other. Recently, I have been learning to code as a part of my studies for uni, so I thought, why not combine these two concepts and code a simple but functional physics engine in Python? My name is Heem, and this is episode 1 of Coding a Physics Engine in Python, where we will be tackling gravity and collisions. Okay, before we begin, I've made a quick to-do list of our targets for this episode. So first of all, we're going to set up a basic Pygame window, we're going to implement gravity, and finally we're going to handle screen border collisions. Okay, before we start the coding, let's take a second to talk about gravity and velocity, because these are the key things that make our physics engine feel real. So gravity, we all know it. It's what keeps us on the ground and makes things fall when we drop them. But in physics, gravity is actually an acceleration, meaning it doesn't just make things move downwards, it makes things fall faster and faster over time. Think about when you drop a ball. At first it moves kind of slow, but then it picks up speed the longer it's in the air. That's because gravity is consistently pulling it down, increasing its velocity. In our code we'll do the same thing, we'll add a little bit to the object's velocity every frame, so that it falls faster the longer it's in the air. Simple, but super effective. Now, velocity is basically speed but with direction. If something moves up, it has positive velocity, and if it moves down, it has negative velocity. In our physics engine, we'll update velocity every frame, gravity pulls objects down, collisions reverse their velocity. So yeah, that's gravity and velocity in a nutshell. Simple, but once we start coding, you'll see how these two things create the foundation for everything in a physics engine. Alright, let's just get into it. Okay, so I'm using PyCharm to write my code. I think it's very useful. You can quickly add libraries. It can help you with like documentation things. But yeah, so this is my basic project. Um, I've got the initial library Pygame. Yeah, I've initialized it. Just these are just things you have to do when writing, when using the Pygame library. We've got a screen set up which will uh, which will allow us to draw things on a separate window, and we've also got a clock which will start running once we start the simulation. And then in this while statement, everything is in this while statement now. We've got a quit statement, so once we exit the program, it will not give us any errors, it'll just quit and leave it closed. And finally, we've just got a red screen, because I like red, red's one of my favourite colours, and then updating every frame, and we've set this tick to be 60. Yeah, so what we are going to want to do first is draw a circle. That's our first main thing we want to get out of the way, get that done right now. Yeah, so the function for that is pygame.draw.circle. You can see it's a circle. And the parameters for that are surface, color, center, and radius. Those are the 4 we're going to use. So surface in this case is what the surface we're going to draw on, which is our screen. It's like using a paper, we're going to be drawing on a piece of paper. That's what we're kind of representing it as. Then we've got our color, like green. Green's my most favorite color, red's my second favorite, but it doesn't really matter. Then we've got our position, which is represented as a vector. So we're going to say 500, 200. That seems pretty decent. And then finally, a radius. Not a radius. Why not have radius? We're going to have a radius, which will say 30 because it seems like a nice average size number. So let's run this and see what exactly happens. Look at that. We've got a circle, and it's at 500, 200. I can't exactly show you it's exactly there because I can't measure that, but it's 30 wide. It's green on a red background. That's exactly what we wanted. So what we'll do is we want to apply physics to this object, and the best way to do this is I'm going to come up here and I'll comment a little thing with variables, and so what we will do is write some variables, in this case xpos, which will be at x position, which will say 500, that will replace here, y position 200, that will replace this one, and finally we also want a separate y velocity variable, which will start off as 0, and then a constant gravity. I like doing my constants in uppercase just so I know that's what we're leaving forever. It's never being updated, and we're going to leave that at a certain value. So I'll say 5. I don't know, I think that seems okay. So if we go back to what I mentioned earlier with what gravity is an acceleration, and an acceleration acts on the velocity of an object. So we can say y velocity is incremented by gravity. This plus equals means that every frame gravity is added on to y velocity. So initially it'll be 0 plus 5, then this becomes 5, and then the next frame 2, it'll be 5 plus 5, 10, 15, 20, and so on and so forth. And then to get the circle to actually move, we will apply the y position we'll apply the y velocity to the y position. So then it's the same thing as earlier, except it'll be exponentially faster, really, because this will be increased by this, and that velocity is increased by the gravity. And obviously, as this goes on, it'll get incrementally faster and faster, and eventually it'll go off screen, which we want to sort out as well. So I'll run this and just check how it looks. Whoa, okay, it was so fast it went off the screen before we could even check. So I'll lower that quite a bit, 10 times less, to see what it looks like. Okay. It's still pretty fast, so I'll lower that even more, 0.1. Look at that. Oh, it kind of buffered there, but you know, that's a circle with acceleration. We've officially got an object moving underneath acceleration. Physics technically is sorted. But what we want to do is one of our other objectives, our last objective, is to sort out border so that it doesn't go through the ground. So the best way for me to do that is with an if statement, by saying if y position is greater than or equal to screen, not 3 e's, get height, then we'll say y velocity is equal to 0, so that it resets y velocity, it'll stop moving, and y position is equal to screen.getHeight. Why do you do that? That last line is just so that, just in case the circle goes through the screen, it'll be bounced back up to the limit, because sometimes it may move down an extra few pixels per frame. We just want to keep it as constant as we can. So if we run this now, it's accelerating. Oh, look at that. Okay, it stopped, which is good, something we wanted, but the only problem is that it's now intersecting with the border. We want it to be like resting on top, like one point of the circle resting. So the best way for me to do that is assigning another variable, radius. We'll say that's equal to 30 because that's going to replace our radius here. And what we'll say is, instead of screen.getHeight, it will be screen.getHeight minus radius. So now, if the y position is greater than or equal to the height minus the radius, it will stop at, we'll say minus radius here again. It'll stop on the point of the circle. So if we run this, look at that. Perfect. It's exactly what we wanted. We can even change the radius around, so we can have 10, and we could even change this like 500 if we wanted to, just so I can show you that it actually fully works. See? Oh, did I change it to 100? Yeah, I changed it to 100, but you know, you get the idea. We'll change that back. You know what? I'm going to change the screen color. I don't like that one. I think my favorite value is 51, 51, 51, or we could just write 51. It's like a kind of grey. I like that grey color. I don't know why it's blue. Give me 1 second. 51, 51. I have to do all three then. Some programming languages allow you to just use word value. See? I like that kind of background. So yeah. Yeah, I think that's all we'll leave for now. Let me know down in the comments if you want me to include anything else. Let me know what you want for episode 2. Also, any tips or tricks that you would like me to know, let me know and I'll try and implement them in my next video. I'll try and get the video out as soon as possible. But yeah, just thank you for watching. Yeah, I don't know what really else to say. Just thanks for watching and subscribe, like, all that sort of shenanigans. I want this kind of thing to be a community where we all learn together. We could kind of feed off each other's ideas. Just that we, as a community, we all grow and learn together. It'll just be something I've wanted to grow for a while now. But yeah, stick around because I will continue this. I think it's quite fun. So yeah, I'll see you around.